To defeat an enemy, you must know them. Not just their battle tactics, but their history, philosophy, art. Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
All right, everyone. Hello and welcome back to.
Oh, wait, that's mine?
Yeah, it's
Okay. The Chiss Ascendancy.
Yes, we're here, and it's episode 70.
70.
And we're 2 weeks. Obviously, it's been 2 weeks since we did a show,
Yeah.
and so thank you guys for your patience. Samuel is up in the wild blue yonder of God's amazing grace, up in Oklahoma, and so he's actually got there Tuesday of last week,
Yeah.
and then
They put him straight to work.
Yeah,
from
no,
what I hear.
he got there Monday, and then Tuesday morning started work, and then I think Thursday they went to camp or something.
Oh my God.
Something wild. But
Yeah.
anyways, so we're doing a little bit of catch up and some mustard as well. Sorry. But as you can see, so it's me and Adam, and now we're gonna make fun of Samuel.
Yeah, there we go.
But today we're doing a little bit of Bad Batch catch up. 2 weeks.
Sweet.
And also something not out of the blue because we knew it was coming, but something that has become a bigger deal in the War of the Bounty Hunters Marvel comic. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into it. And so first we're going to review those 2 episodes of the Bad Batch.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had episodes 5 and 6. Episode 5, I want to believe, was called Rampage.
Yes.
And so basically the same template as we've done for Mandalorian and for the first couple of episodes of Bad Batch. So first overall thoughts, what did you think about this episode?
I think it's a great opener, kind of, for some leeway for them to go different paths.
Yeah.
I think it was a great find to see. What was her name again?
Sid. Yeah.
Yeah. So to find
Basically Roseanne for Star Wars.
So, yeah, awkward character, but I get where they're coming from on it. But I think that's a great find for them.
Yeah.
You know, that's definitely a great connection for them, for sure.
You know what she reminded me of? She reminds me of, you remember the very end of Monsters, Inc., where they kick Randall out and he shows up in someone's trailer? Yeah. They kick Randall out and he shows up in a trailer and they're like, Mama, there's an alligator in here.
Oh,
I
that one.
can imagine Sid being in that trailer.
I got you.
Because she kind of has that backwoods, you know.
I got
There's
you.
one part where she's talking about so apparently she was a help to the Jedi during the Clone Wars, which is strange to me because I'm so locked into the old ways of Trandoshans being like every Trandoshan is the worst,
Right.
as far as their reputation and working with others. But she had a connection with the Jedi, and I guess Echo was the one that knew who she was and stuff. And so she's like, "Wow, I never worked with clone trooper deserters before."
Yeah.
And Tech, of course, over-explains, and it's like, "Well, we had a moral, disagreement." And she's like, "Oh, isn't that cute? You thinking I care?" And I was like, "Roseanne's that you?" But she was a cool character. So I agree. I liked the leaving of. To me, that started off really strong, and we've sent that meme back and forth about Mandalorian and Clone Wars and everything, but now it applies to Bad Batch.
Yeah.
Our 2 should be going up, not down.
Right.
And the minutes get less and less as we go on.
Right.
And so I did like that we were out of the city, we were in the country, we were at a kind of a different location. The Zygerian slavers were cool to see again.
Yeah. Agreed.
From Clone Wars. So I agree. I thought it was really neat. I thought that it was a cool. I liked it better than the previous episode where they met Fennec Shand and they're doing the chase through the streets. I thought this was a cool change of pace.
I think, to be honest with you, I think it kind of had like that whole Three's Company vibe where there's like this big misunderstanding of what's supposed to be going on. You know, it's like, so they go there thinking that they're trying to find somebody, and then they get there and it's not a person at all.
Right. Well, it was cool because Sid obviously knew what was going on, but she was like, okay, well, either they're going to go get this Rancor for me, or they're not. So I might as well just not tell them what it is.
Right.
So they say Moochie, and the crazy thing was, the Rancor that they end up trying to get is being shipped to Jabba's palace. So what we understand is this is not the Rancor from Jabba's palace, because Moochie is a female,
right?
And the Rancor from Jabba's palace was a male, and also the Rancor's name was Patissa, I want to say.
Yep.
And I think the other dead giveaway that it's not the same now that I'm thinking about it is the Rancor trainer wasn't there. Like, I remember the trainer had a really, really close relationship with. Remember, he's like,
yeah, he was if I remember right, he was where he had the black helmet, the straps, and he's kind of a tubby guy.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he was
yeah.
crying.
He had like kind of like the weird.
Yeah, it was
like
I don't know.
I don't know. It's like a weird like belt for his nips.
Yeah, it was very awkward looking. Very.
Yeah, it was.
Like,
it was something that. Yeah. It's something that if you walked in and your dad was wearing it, you would be scarred for life.
Right.
But yeah, I thought it was cool.
That,
yeah, exactly. So what was your, of course, the second thing that we talked about when we're reviewing is the standout moment. What was you mentioned something before we started rolling, but there was something that was, I guess that was the most recent episode.
Yeah.
But what was something that stood out to you in that episode?
I guess was Moochie herself. I mean, I like just seeing how aggressive she was, in comparison to, smaller at the time, very adolescent, so very aggressive, just going after everything. When you think Rancor, you think Return of the Jedi, because that's where we see it the most or whatever. And it's so massive, it's so slow moving, so strong. But we see this little one here, but she's all over the place.
Yeah.
She's still strong.
I agree. I thought that it was really cool to see a Rancor move about.
Yeah.
Like with the speed with which she was moving. I guess that makes sense though, because it's similar, I guess, if you see a bear in the wild. They're so big and cumbersome, but they're freaking fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that in captivity, because they're being fed, they're like, I'm just going to lounge, and my meal's here when it gets here. I think that's kind of why the Rancor at Jabba's palace, because if you think about it, the size of the Rancor for the cage it was in was really cramped.
Right.
And I can kind of see it being, but that's Jabba. He's the douchebag mob boss from Breaking Bad that's like, you ain't got a freaking pet Rancor in here if you don't deliver the meth. Like he's not exactly caring about the Rancor's living conditions.
Sure.
But it was cool to see a Rancor move that fast, because I remember playing The Force Unleashed years ago and being like, I've got my 2 backwards lightsabers, and I was like, all right, no problem. That thing's like 50 yards away, and then it was like, and I was like, yo, chill out with all that. What the freak is going on with that? So that was really cool. So new characters, Moochie was introduced, but obviously I think the biggest new character in this episode is Sid.
It's Sid, for sure.
Because it seems to have established an ongoing relationship. Like, they have a place that she's someone that, I would say this, one thing that is good about Trandoshans is they always kind of seem to, they're going to do what's best for them, and they don't mind like pushing back against authority.
Sure.
And I think that helping the Republic was something that was best in her interest, to not have all these droids coming in and trying to rule over her.
Right.
But secondly, she seems like the kind of person that would push back against because the new empire, it's like, you need new money, you need new identity, you need this, Mark of the Beast, whatever. Whatever. And so she seems like the kind of person that, as long as it works good for her, she doesn't mind harboring these guys, because a new authority to her doesn't make a lick of difference.
Right. Well, and with that respect, I think that they found kind of like a safe place, that when they got there, Tech had heard of her, but not really like, what's going to happen when we get there is,
right.
But when they got there and they're starting to talk to her and, kind of establish a relationship, they're realizing that it's more of a safe place. That okay, this is a cool place. We can kind of chill, relax a little bit.
I think it's a cool trade-off, because they have a safe spot. They have a place that, if you think about it, if you're a clone trooper, it's probably a huge pain to learn how to farm or to learn.
Oh, sure.
Because I think about, okay, like for obviously you work in real estate.
Sure.
And I'm a pastor, and to me, you make a good wage doing what you're doing and you're good at it. And so that think about doing that for like 10 years, but it's not only that, but it's the only job you've ever done.
Right.
And then it's just gone in a second.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be such a stressor for them.
Sure.
And so I think that this is a best of both worlds situation where she owns a cantina. So there's food, there's drink. I'm sure she has a place for them to stay. They can stay aboard the ship.
Right.
And then they get to go, and in return, they can make she probably pays them, but they have an outlet to do what they do best.
Right.
Why, I get that
I guess it's more of a comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like to keep them in that comfort zone while still being deserters,
Yeah.
So
I think it's cool. It's a cool trade-off. And I hope this is something that like maybe this could really be the birth of, I know we were talking, me and you and Sam have been talking about how it feels like they're the A-team and they just get sent to these different places.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the hub that it's like, hey, go do this job, hey, go do this job.
Very well.
And Sid is the kind of character, it seems like, that as long as it makes her a profit, she does want to help people.
Sure.
And again, that goes against the grain of my Trandoshan history,
Right.
So Sid's obviously the newest character. All right, out of 10, what do you give? How many stars do you give this episode?
7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say the same. I'd say probably 8.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I loved the new feel of it. It felt very Clone Warsy to me. And I love that they had an objective that was not strictly a result of their own dilemma.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a cool change of pace. I will say this, and I guess this kind of, we'll skip to what's next because we already know, because we've already seen another episode. But the big concern for me is what the freak is growing on with Crosshair right now.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Crosshair in like 3 episodes. So
yeah, I didn't think about that.
Like, here's my thought. Okay, I guess I'll open up Disney Plus and I'll see for sure. But the big episode where you start to see the elite core. Remember, there's the guy that's like, yeah, you're in charge for now, but you're a clone and you'll be gone before no time. And he ends up killing that guy while they're looking for Saw Gerrera. That was in Replacements, which was 3. And we're through 6.
Wow.
Cornered is the Fennec Shand episode. Rampage, and then Decommissioned was this week's.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen Crosshair in 3 episodes. Here's what I think.
Okay.
Let me put my prophecy out there. Let me put on my prayer shawl. But I think that we're gonna see him be significantly different the next time we see him.
In what aspects?
I don't know if it's physically, but they are definitely advancing his chip every time they get the chance.
That's true.
They're hardening him, as a soldier. And of course there is the in Rogue One, there's the Warhammer project. That's one of the things that they're listing while they're looking for Stardust while they're on Scarif.
Which we don't know a whole lot about.
So Warhammer, what a lot of people are speculating is that's the Death Trooper project. And the Thrawn books, this is the benefit of being a nerd and reading like every single thing. But in the Thrawn books, specifically Thrawn Treason, I want to say, they mention that the Death Troopers are physically altered. They are like, whether, I don't know if that means like they're stretched and everyone, like they're physically made bigger or they're physically made stronger or they're whatever it might be. But I think that it's not outside the realm of possibility that Crosshair is going to become the first Death Trooper. And they're that's why the armor has the black with like the green glowing visor. It's still Clone Trooper armor, but it's going towards that style.
Right, that's what you're saying.
And so I can see where maybe we're not seeing him for a while on purpose. I know that we're all like, where's Crosshair? This is so boring right now.
Yeah.
But I think that's Dave Filoni's the kind of guy that does everything on purpose. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Well, you saying that where's Crosshair? When we started, we talked about this. Like, Crosshair would have been my favorite. I love guns. I love snipers. I love shooting long range. That's just one of the things I love. And to see somebody like that in there, obviously that's going to be my go-to. And then we see him for 3 episodes, and now he's gone. Yeah, I'm like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah. I think that it's something that I've seen multiple people post. I'm just going to binge this when the season's over because it's getting boring.
I thought about that too, but I mean,
my thing is I can't control myself,
right.
so I'm gonna watch it. But I think that I do think that it's on purpose. I don't think Dave Filoni's not the kind of guy that's just grasping at straws. He's been planning this. Like, him and George are the ones that created Bad Batch together. It was George Lucas's idea based on the Dirty Dozen to create Bad Batch. And so any story that they have is like, they were thinking about Luke Skywalker coming to rescue Grogu years before.
Which is crazy to me.
We even were thinking about that.
Yeah, that's
so
unreal.
I think it's on purpose. So moving on to Decommissioned, this was kind of a cool episode. Getting this episode had some really cool parts and had some parts that I was like, ugh, what is happening here? And I think you know what I'm talking about. So overall thoughts, what did you think about this week's episode?
I thought it was kind of cool. I like that Omega is she's trying to get her hands dirty more and more. And I love that about her. And I mean, Hunter's obviously still trying to protect her and keep holding her back, but at the same time, she's just like, F that, I want to jump in there.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that is important to me about Omega is I think eventually they just got to trust her as a member of the team.
I agree.
And I think Hunter wants to protect her, but I think we're seeing more and more the way that you can protect her is let her go. Let her be a part of the group.
Let her open up and actually shoot her gun, protect herself.
Because whenever she is waiting for things, she gets in trouble because she gets antsy.
Yep.
But when she's a part of the fight on purpose, she holds her own. And I know that she's new to everything, and she's not a crosshair replacement.
Right.
But she's never going to be a fluid part of the group if we keep sheltering her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think my overall thoughts was I thought it was a cool. Didn't necessarily move the storyline forward very much, except for something at the very end. But overall thoughts, I thought it was decent. Standout moment for you from this episode. This is the thing that you were talking about before.
Wait, which one?
Her
gun? Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved her bow. I love, again, I'm a big gun fanatic, so I look more at the guns. You love the clone troopers. You can tell me each battalion and everything, and I'm just like, okay. But like me, like I'll look at everybody's gun. I loved her bow.
Yeah.
Like I don't know exactly what it's called. We kind of were talking about that a little bit, but I don't know exactly what it's called. But dude, I'm all about that. And then at the end, where she just opens up with it, man, she just.
I thought it was cool because it looks like it's in. Wow, that
Good?
went down the wrong tube. But it looks like it's a Night Sister bow, and so I guess it shoots energy.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I guess it's very similar if you think about like. I know that people get real nitpicky within the universe of like, it doesn't make sense that it's a limited laser that fires, but it's like, okay, well, a lightsaber is a limited laser that cuts. It's the same thing. Lightsaber is physically impossible in today's world.
Right.
But I thought it was really cool. I love that it's kind of like Star Wars is great at taking life and like there's these little metaphors that are obviously bigger picture, but they show you in a little microcosm of the situation. Yeah. So of course she's like distracted, and you have the frickin' Kenner 1978 style blue hammerhead guy talking and heckling in the background of Sid's bar whenever they're trying to practice, and Echo's like, keep practicing. She's like, well, I've hit the target 4 times, and he's like, that's luck. That's not
12.
Yeah. It's like you're at 33%.
Yeah.
So, but he said you got to rule out distractions.
Yeah.
Which is cool because I will say this, for all those times that we're like, what the heck is Echo bringing to the table? Echo is that guy that's been through literal hell, been tortured for like months on end by the droids, and he still has a desire to help his brothers, help the situation. Yep. So to me, he's that guy that's like, he's seen it all. And he's probably one of the most dependable people in the group because he's been through so much crap.
Yeah.
But towards the end when she's like, I'm ruling out distractions.
Yeah.
And she starts like just that was cool. And then there was a cool moment from the beginning where Sid was like, you know, you gotta strengthen your arm. She was like, she just reeled off 3. That was sick.
Okay, now going to Wrecker.
Yes. Was I right or was I right?
You've got to be.
Gotta be. That like chip is going to activate, bro. Yeah. The chip is going to activate.
So what's that? Has that been every episode? Like all 3 episodes?
So we're 6 episodes in, and episode 1, obviously Order 66 is activated, and Crosshair clearly has the most effect.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Rampage,
see.
I don't remember much about him dealing with the chip. The one before that.
So Aftermath was the first one. Cut and Run wasn't really a thing. Replacements was the one where he hit his head when the ship crashed and it really started to act up. Cornered, he hit his head really hard again because Finnick deflected him. Right. Rampage, he brawled with a Rancor, but that didn't seem to be a big deal.
You know what? I think he did hit his head during that.
Okay.
Maybe.
I mean, he was getting hit.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting hit. So.
But in Decommission, you have one of those same moments where he hits his head really hard, and he
kind of went unconscious almost.
Well, the thing that I noticed, what he said something. So the big line that's like the calling card during the Clone Wars. Obviously, in the live action, clones weren't as fleshed out, so it was like, okay, Order 66, no problem.
Right.
But in the Clone Wars, when there's a kid or a clone named Tup, I want to say is the one that activates early and his chip malfunctions. He says, "Good soldiers follow orders." That's like the calling card, and then he raises his gun and shoots the Jedi that's in front of him.
Yeah.
In Clone Wars Season 7, Rex is crying and he's saying, "Good soldiers follow orders," and he's trying to fight it. Crosshair says it in Episode 1 of this season. And he says something along the lines of "follow orders."
Yeah.
When he's trying to shake it off, and he's like something, "follow orders."
Interesting.
And so I think that his chip will activate. And so here's my thing. I want to say that when it activates, there's not really Jedi around, but I wonder if it also extends to. Because I think that when it activates in the Clone Wars Season 7, Jesse basically decides, okay, well then if Rex is hiding or fighting alongside Ahsoka, then he is also a target, like aiding and abetting or refusing to follow the order is also punishable. So Wrecker may end up turning on the crew even if they're not next to a Jedi.
Interesting.
Because Order 66 now has been drawn out from it's not a one-time event. It's an ongoing order in their mind that's been activated. Does that make sense?
Right.
So it doesn't have to be, he doesn't have to get a call from Palpatine. If he gets hit in the head hard enough and his chip activates or whatever.
Isn't Tech the one in like Episode 1 or 2 talks about where they get more information on the inhibitor chip from Omega? He's
trying to work on it. That's something Tech is working on. And I think that maybe what'll happen is it gets activated and he starts attacking them and they have to sedate him or something. But Tech was working on like a radar gun or something until Reed did.
Right, so that's my thing. It's like maybe he's still been working on this, between episodes or whatever. When Wrecker does his switch flips and he does activate. I mean, maybe they have an answer for it already. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I think that it'll at least be a big deal for a little bit. For at least a whole episode.
Well, they're drawing that out for so many episodes, so something's bound to happen. We know that.
What if Crosshair shows up and somehow helps activate the chip, and it's Crosshair and Wrecker versus the rest of the crew? Be pretty rough.
Yikes. Yeah.
So standout moment for you was the bow. Standout moment for me was the end of the episode.
Okay.
And I'll get to that when we talk about what's next. New characters, not really new characters, but the freaking sisters were back from Season 7.
Yeah.
I just don't know what's going on with them. That's the thing. I don't hate just because I'm not like, well, everybody else doesn't like them. I'm not that guy. But my thing is, what are they bringing to the table?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Unless it's another, with Hunter's thing at the end, maybe they're establishing a relationship.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe they're the bridge to something else, which does add something. But it is weird.
Again, Filoni and them, they don't add stuff for no reason,
yeah,
it ties into something.
Okay, so rate the episode 1 to 10.
I'd give that more of an 8.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I kind of liked it.
I would say 7.5. I liked Rampage more than this one.
I didn't.
Simply because of the Zygerian slavers and the Rancor and being off. I guess I'm a sucker for the sunny planets.
I like the action. I think I like the action pack because this.
The action from this one was pretty raw. Though. Yeah, that was cool. I love seeing. I love Tech's outfit design.
Yeah.
So I love seeing the glowing goggles. I know that Samuel hates those, but the glowing goggles.
Yeah.
I love that. So moving on to what's next, this ties in with my standout moment from the episode.
Okay.
At the end of the episode, they're trying to get the tactical droid's information back to Sid because it's valuable. And then Rafa and her sister, I can't remember her name, they're trying to get it because they're wanting to fight against the Empire. So some people were like, oh, the sisters totally sold the Bad Batch out. I think it's the opposite. I think that at the end, because remember they have that little stick that Hunter gives and says, this is all the same information.
Right.
So basically, it's a win-win. They both get what they needed.
Right.
And both of them can have it.
Okay.
It's not like they're on opposing sides. I think they're talking to either Ahsoka or Rex at the end of that episode. And they said...
who the silhouette or whatever it is?
Yeah. They turn around and they say, there's a pack of deserters I thought you would like to know. To me, one, I just need a break from Ahsoka.
I'm kind of with you on that, but it just kind of depends. It's just after Order 66, so I don't think, like, if you can kind of just go based on the little bitty piece that we saw, that's more of like a
feminine style,
like a kind of like a or Jedi type garb, you know, that type of thing. So that's why
I just hope that if Ahsoka's there, I hope it's like a, all right, you guys be safe, see ya.
Right.
and this is why I don't want to dilute the character.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a part of me, look, I love Grogu, I love Baby Yoda. But there's a part of me that when I walk in the store and it's like, get your Grogu, throw up toilet paper. I just don't want. I feel like they're
pushing it hard.
They're inflating the value. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I get it, especially Disney. They're a money making machine.
Sure.
And so I get that Ahsoka's a fan favorite. One, she's not in my top 10 Jedi, and I know that's harsh, but we'll do an unpopular opinions episode down the road. That'll be one of mine. But two, because I do value her, I do like her. It's not that I dislike Ahsoka. I want a little break from her so that the next time I see her, like, we're gonna have a whole show about her. I want there to be a little bit of a break where I'm like, oh, what's she gonna do?
Well, I think that's why it probably is Ahsoka, because it's
her
tying
in our mind.
They only did one episode with her in Mando. And we already know that she's got something else coming on.
Mm-hmm.
There's a new show of Star Wars going on.
Yeah.
We gotta throw her back in there just to keep her relevant.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be my take on it. But
I hope it's just a little Easter egg, because I would love to see Rex and the Clone Force 99 Bad Batch work together. And Ahsoka's not there.
I think it'd be awesome.
But then again, it's probably Ahsoka, because that's when Wrecker's chip will probably flip. This is unavoidable.
It's unavoidable.
I think that it's probably Ahsoka or Rex. I do believe that in the trailer we saw Rex team up with them, and I do have a bit of an inside scoop that he's going to be in the show.
Okay.
So I do think, I can't name my sources, can't kiss it up, but I do think that he'll be in the show, which probably means Ahsoka, because they're working together, at least for a little while. I know by Rebels they've been apart for years.
Right.
So maybe this is the moment that they split up. Maybe this is the moment where Rex goes his separate way. I would love to see Wolf and Gregor, because that's the three that are hanging out on the ATTE and Rebels. That would be really sick.
That would be cool.
That'd be really cool. I would love to see that. I would love to see the moment of if Rex is like, maybe it'd be really cool if one of the trips that they go on is Rex and Bad Batch going to rescue some of these other commanders and getting their chips out in a way.
Yeah.
Like liberating them, you know?
That would tie in with Tech and his trying to find his little gun thing or whatever.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. I think that ultimately, Tech's gun is going to be used to bring Crosshair back into the fold. That's what I think.
I just don't want to lose Wrecker.
Me
like,
neither.
I love Wrecker. I mean, he's such a, it's like that, just a bumbling idiot, but just strong as an ox. So it's just like, I hate to lose him. So.
Yeah, Samuel says, I'm Wrecker, and I don't know if I should be offended by that.
Bumbling idiot that's strong as an ox. Man.
You know what I mean?
I don't point fingers.
So who is he then?
I don't know. Tech?
He would be so pissed.
He probably would be.
But that's kind of
that's
kind of his style, though.
Yeah.
He's the Tech guy.
Yeah, but at the same time, he's always got those little comments to get you sometimes. You know, I mean, in playful love, I get that, but
Samuel's the kind of guy that he'd be like, "Oh, I thought you already knew that."
Right,
or
right.
Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
Yeah. You heard it here first. Samuel's tech.
Samuel, I hope you're watching.
If he's listening. Okay, cool. So we obviously, what's next is we're linking up with Ahsoka and or Rex.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, Crosshair's going to be seen, and I think he's going to be leading a squad that's more and more like Death Troopers. Maybe he's more and more like Death Troopers. I would love if, even if the armor was old school, I would love for their code to be broken up like in Rogue One. I would just like to see steps in that direction. Then that would be sick. If we could get Thrawn in, whatever.
You're not asking for much. No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. Probably won't because he'll have a big reveal in live action in the Ahsoka show. But yeah, I think that. So 5 predictions for the future. Wreck returns. We see Rex or Ahsoka in the next episode or 2. The next time we see Crosshair, he's significantly different, whether that's physically or mentally. I don't know how much more douchey he can be, but he'll get there. I really do think that he'll be different next time we see him. What was another one? Let's see. Prediction is I think we see Wolf eventually.
Oh yeah, Wolf Grant.
And then the 5th one, I'll throw something crazy in there. What's a crazy prediction for the Bad Batch? I think Hunter dies before the end of the season.
What?
Yep. Mark my words.
My biggest thing is I just want to know where they're taking this whole Omega thing.
Yeah.
That's what gets me. It's like in Mando they pushed Baby Grogu so hard.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, he goes away.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. It's
It
know,
could
it's
be that
one season.
Well, one thing that I think about Grogu is I think that maybe by season 3 we're far in the future from where he was. Maybe Book of Boba Fett is our placeholder for this time period.
I get you.
And then next time we see season 3, it's far future.
I dig it. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the second half of our episode, we're jumping into Star Wars is so good at just taking my money. And so a big thing that they're launching, I'll see if you guys can see this on screen, but the War of the Bounty Hunters is a really big deal. So this kind of falls into, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but do you remember it was a book, it was a video game, it was a comic. You remember the title Shadows of the Empire?
It sounds familiar.
Came out in the 90s. It was a big, you know how the High Republic is it's a book, it's a comic, it's this multimedia push. Yeah. Shadows of the Empire was that times 10. There was a book, there was a comic, there was a video game, there was weird live action cutscenes, all kinds of stuff. Okay. That's where you find out a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that it covers a bunch of stuff. But one of the things it covers is Boba trying to get Han Solo to Jabba. So you're really focused on Luke and Leia trying to get there in a year. Mm-hmm. And that's where that lizard character, Prince Caesar, so in Rampage, remember they free that human and they free that lizard-looking family? Okay. That same species, there was a guy that he's running Black Sun. And Black Sun was the biggest crime syndicate. It was so big that they say it was underneath the surface, but it was as large as the Empire, which I find super hard to believe. Because Star Destroyers. Yeah. But apparently Prince Caesar was trying to overthrow Vader and the Emperor. And so it's kind of the stories of this is what goes on in the Shadows of the Empire. So this obviously that's not canon anymore, but this kind of undoes some of that stuff because this story is Boba Fett trying to get Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt.
This is from the end of Empire Strikes Back to the beginning of Return of the Jedi.
Correct.
So that's a year, is what you said?
Yep.
Okay.
So the opening crawl or whatever says Boba Fett, the galaxy's most dangerous bounty hunter, by far, not even close to anybody else, claims the bounty of notorious smuggler and rebel officer Han Solo. Jabba the Hutt eagerly awaits Fett's delivery of Solo, carbonite frozen body, to Tatooine, where the crime lord will exact his final revenge. Han Solo's debt is thus paid, but Boba is desperate for a payday himself. You jumped in and you read both of these as well. Yep. So it was pretty cool. There's I don't want to go frame by frame.
Sure.
But basically, the issue is he's on his way straight to Tatooine. I like that there's a story here because it makes sense that once people find out you've got the merchandise, it's no holds barred.
Well, I mean, the way you put it when we talked about it earlier is there's a contract out there. Whoever finishes the contract is the one getting paid.
Right.
And so currently, Boba is out there pushing hard. He obviously got with Vader to make this happen and blah, blah, blah. So he's got the body. He's on his way back to Tatooine, like you said, and then it just unfolds.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's one of those things where you're playing a racing video game, and you could be winning the whole game, but if someone just comes up from behind you and wins the last second...
Or if somebody throws a shell at you right before you cross the finish line.
Or if someone throws one of the freaking pesky bananas out there, that's your fault. Yeah. So Boba's on high alert. He's talking, I want to say, to Bib Fortuna about
he's on his way.
Kind of cool because Bib Fortuna's been popping up a little bit.
Right.
But I thought this was a really cool. So this is by Charles Soule. Charles Soule's like Star Wars royalty when it comes to writing.
Cool.
He did the Vader comic. He's been a big part of a lot of stuff. So he's working on this. He also is the one that wrote Light of the Jedi, that first High Republic novel.
Okay.
And then the second, there's been other novels, but the second adult age novel is coming out June 28th. Okay. So we'll have to review that. But there's something wrong with the carbonite because by the time either the one that Mando has is built more for individuals and it's a quick freeze, but when you watch Empire Strikes Back, I think we've seen it so many times that we're like, and so this is where you freeze people, but on Cloud City that's not what it's for.
Right.
And ultimately Han Solo is being frozen to test it, live or die, doesn't care, for Luke, because Luke is powerful enough that they can't trust transporting him. The goal is to freeze Luke to take him to the Emperor.
Right.
And so, that being said, this carbon chamber specifically is just for cargo goods and things. So, the carbonite is becoming unsteady. And so, my understanding is that it could melt him.
Yeah.
And so, there's what's called Alpha, which is like the prelude, like the prequel. And then part 1 is also out. So, Boba goes to Nar Shaddaa, which is a cool... super fun planet that's been around for 1,000 years.
Because of the Doctor.
Yeah, and so there's the Doctor similar to Dexter Jettster from Episode 2 that's, Obi-Wan, oh buddy. But this guy's working on some freaking creepy stuff. He's got all these organs and stuff in these vats. And basically, the only thing I did not like from this whole thing was, this is on like the second page of the whole thing. It says, the Doctor says, carbonite matrix is unstable, not surprising, with an organic inside. Whose bright idea was this? Boba Fett says, not mine, Doc. Can you keep him alive? He says, yes, I can stabilize him too, so that won't be a problem. Just do a little tinkering. And he says, sure, cash up front and I'll get to work. You know how I operate. And Boba Fett says, about that, this is Han Solo. Once I deliver him, I can pay you double your usual fee, but he needs to be alive. I don't like the idea that Boba's not like rolling in cash at all times. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But, I mean, as a bounty hunter, you've got to, it's one of those things like, you've got to watch your back. I mean, I get he's the first, he's the big dog. He's the one that could take anybody out. But at the same time, like me as a bounty hunter, I wouldn't carry cash on me. I mean, if for some reason I get jumped or taken, I mean, they take all my stuff. I'm left with nothing.
So in the reason that this bugs me is that in the, again, one of the hard things is unlearning what you've already learned.
Sure.
But in the old books, it's so funny that it's like, I need credits. I need physical credits on me right now. But also, I have a ship that can take me to outer space and take me to another planet. Like, haven't heard of like a account transfer?
Debit card?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So my thing is, in old books and stuff, if Boba needed something, it was like, hey, I'm going to buy like 3 of these starships. Here's my account information.
Yeah.
He just had like, you know what I mean? He's that guy that has like 12 bank accounts.
But that's all stuff that can be tracked and stuff like that, where this guy's kind of a backroom type person.
That's
where
true.
You're trying to cash under the table type thing.
So he did say cash up front.
Yeah.
So maybe it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really have time to go to the local CD ATM. Maybe that's what it is. So they're trying to figure things out, and so this is a really crazy turn of events.
Yeah.
But he ends up having to fight in a gladiatorial thing, and this was a really cool thing. So basically, he has to go and fight, and there's this character. I can't remember her name, but it says you could pay me another way. Nar Kanji has a pit warrior. So that's the guy that owns the place. Weirman Lichter. She killed a fighter I sponsored once, cost me a bundle of money. Basically, you go in and you kill her, then we'll be straight up.
Right.
And so the cool thing I thought was he goes and he registers and he's painted his armor all black and he says, "Call me Django."
Yeah.
I thought that was freaking raw.
For sure.
So he goes in, and long story short, he kick butts, takes names. He's got a cool spear that he uses, which is very reminiscent of Dirge's spear in the old Clone Wars from Cartoon Network, where he's leading those droids, and it's kind of like Obi-Wan and the clones are on speeders and they're like jousting.
Yeah.
Dirge has that real long spear.
Right.
His spear is like that, and I love there's a montage here of characters that are just getting completely destroyed,
annihilated. Yeah.
And it was cool because there's some cool background characters. This is on slide or page 13 of 25 in the comic book. And dude, if you double tap on the Marvel app, it just takes you frame by frame.
Right.
But there's some really freaking cool background characters in here.
There's one that just like explodes or something.
Yeah. So you've got like an Aqualish, like the Ponda Baba kind of guy. Not like either. Yeah. You have a Kwakian monkey guy. But the one that really stood out to me, look at this. This guy, it says, that's another definitive victory for our mysterious new fighter Django and an equally definitive loss for Skolikon. His freaking head explodes. Which this guy kind of looks like Skeleton Astronaut a little bit. I never remember the guy's name because all I think of is Skeleton Astronaut, my buddy from Instagram. But you have a freaking Ahsoka looking character right here. Here's the cool wolf guy from A New Hope. Yeah. And then you have a Bith, you have this guy, and then this guy stood out to me. There's a Wookiee with an eye patch, which in Shadows of the Empire, Chewie hides in plain sight as a bounty hunter named Snuva, and Snuva has an eye patch.
Interesting.
So it's just I don't think that's him, but it's a cool fan service thing.
When I first saw that, I thought Teen Wolf.
Oh, really?
That's just like a half the face. I don't know. Just looks.
What's cool about Snuva in the old comics is that he has like a military style haircut. So Chewie comes in and he's got a freaking
flat top.
He's a giant fur ball.
Yeah.
But he's got a flat top at the top. So that was cool. But it's just a cool montage of him just murking everybody. He kills 1, 2, 3, 4 people just right in smack dab, very quickly. And then look at this freaking character. That looks like an Amani. And then there's a bunch of, it's cool, there's a bunch of character. I wonder if right here, I think this is Ben Quadraneros, the pod racer.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty cool. But he basically kills like 5 or 6 people in a row to rise up in the ranks. And then there's a cool yak face looking character that says basically,
that's the race, right? That it's yak face. I'm just kidding.
I was like, what?
Wait, what?
But that was really cool because you have all these background characters, and then you have, like I said, you have Yak Face, and he's like, basically, he says, "You got your shot, huh? That was fast. Not sure if I should be jealous of you or sorry for you." And Boba says, "What are you talking about?" Also, Boba talks so much in this comic.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that. He says you're going against Worman Lichter. She's been champ for a long time. So you get a cool like dialogue, and then this Worman Lichter character actually reminds me a lot of Samuel's favorite character that he's never read the book about, Kudar Mubat, which is that guy that I was talking about. I think that was one of the weeks that we started shooting and you couldn't be here.
Okay.
But it was the week after my birthday. We were talking about the Bounty Hunter Wars, and there's the Web Weaver, and this girl, she's not connected to these webs, but I got Kudar Mubat vibes from her.
Gotcha.
But it's cool because he's fighting as Django, but he's fighting with 2 pistols instead of his regular blaster rifle. He ends up taking her out no problem, and then typical bullcrap, which is he's trying to get paid, and he says, well, you owe us a lot of money for killing her. We had a lot betting on her. You can earn that back for us in one fight. Then, if you win, you're good to go. Unless you'd rather just walk away. And he says, keep it. And so I think what he's trying to do is, I think he's just going to go back and be like, hey, let's just make a deal of some sort.
Yep.
And then someone kills the Doctor and steals Han Solo. And so that's obviously a big deal. The last frame of this specific opener comic, Bib Fortuna looking as worried as ever on Jabba's sail barge.
Yep.
Jabba's just high as a kite in the background. And he says, you've not delivered Solo as promised. Great and powerful Jabba the Hutt grows impatient. You should not disappoint Jabba. And he says, I'm not going to disappoint him. It's just going to be a minute. Yep. And it says, and so begins the War of the Bounty Hunters. Yep. So that's super exciting. And then the next one, here we go. The next one is really when things really start to heat up. And so you finally actually have some bounty hunters on Boba's trail. And so the opening crawl for this one says, Boba Fett claimed the bounty of notorious smuggler of Officer Han Solo, but Solo was stolen from Fett on Ashtada. Who would dare steal from the galaxy's most dangerous bounty hunter? This single act may change the galaxy forever. Long story short, he's been stolen by some mysterious, we don't know who they are. They're on a really crazy looking ship. And there's a hooded character that basically says,
female character.
Yeah, you can tell it's definitely a female. And they're basically saying, look, we know who Boba Fett is, but when he gets here, he gets here. And then this crazy thing happens where now there's a bounty on Boba Fett because Jabba's pissed about Han being stolen. And long story short, you find out that Jabba knows that Han has been stolen. Mm-hmm. So he's like, okay, well, someone's going to bring me this guy, but I want to pay for this guy inconveniencing me. Yeah. And so now there's a bounty on him. And
which I thought was kind of cool of him, because once he realizes it, like he heads back to the palace. Like he's just like, bro, what's going on? Like, this ain't gonna work.
I thought that was really cool too.
And then when he gets to the door, he's just like, get out the way. I'm coming through. Yeah. And I mean, he was ready to start fighting anybody. Yeah. Yeah, I thought he was getting hot by then.
I like his the persuasive side of his personality coming out here, because he basically is like, okay, it's me versus the world, and there's 50 guys here ready to kill me, and he's like, okay, so here's the thing. He doesn't care about you. Yeah. You want to die for this guy?
No. He's like, I'm probably going to kill most of you, so y'all just want to get this out of the way. Or
who's going to go first?
Right.
So that was really cool. So when he goes to Slave 1 to figure out what's going on, he gets attacked. Yeah. And it's Zuckuss and 4-LOM, or 4-LOM. And it says, so apparently, this was really crazy. Apparently Zuckuss has like future telling abilities. I've never heard of this before. But he says, I thought you could predict the future, Zuckuss. You should have seen that coming. Yeah. And he said he did say hello to 4-LOM, and that's where 4-LOM is there waiting for him. Obviously, he ends up, I think he ends up killing 4-LOM and Zuckuss here. Yeah. So that's the end of those two guys. Yeah. So now we know in canon what happened to 4-LOM and Zuckuss, because they were around for a while after in the previous years. Boba does the cool thing and takes 4-LOM's, because Zuckuss is an actual living organism. 4-LOM, even though he looks like a bug, he's a droid. Yeah. And he does that cool thing that Mando does and takes his head and plugs it into Slave 1. And so he's figuring out...
kind of like what just happened in Bad Batch.
Yeah, exactly. So he's trying to figure out what the freak is going on with the bounty. This is where he goes to Jabba's palace. Yeah. And he freaking kills these 2 Gamorrean guards like nobody's business.
Lit him up.
Which it makes me wonder, obviously probably not, but it'd be crazy if these were the same 2 Gamorreans and Bib Fortuna that went and picked up Moochie. And so it was really cool because all these guys, and then you see flashback to our Hutts episode. Yeah. Jabba's away doing business with the Hutts, and there's this mysterious person that's been showing up and wants to talk to the Hutts. And it says, do you think this could possibly be real Jabba, or do you think it's a pretender? And Jabba says, I don't think it matters. They have proved to my satisfaction that they possess Han Solo, frozen a block of carbonite that Boba Fett was supposed to deliver to me. I don't care who they are, because that's his priority right now. But if it is real, the group has not made any moves in years, appearing again now. would be a destabilizing effect. They were powerful in their day. And it says this freaking ripped hut says we're more powerful now. And there was something interesting. They wake up Marlowe, who's kind of like the old mob boss looking, Godfather looking guy. And he says, let's see. It says, let Marlowe rest. Jabba saying this. He's nearly 1,000 years old, so that was a cool little Easter egg drop. It says, there's something important to consider. The person who ran this organization was not someone who could stay hidden this long. One way or another, he would have revealed himself. He has not, and so I believe he is dead. The question is this, if this is real, then whoever is in charge may have killed that person, and if that's the case, then they are formidable indeed. And so you go back to Jabba's palace.
That's a lot of forward thinking for them to try to figure out who this is. I mean,
I think that's cool because in the old trilogy, I think, and we kind of talked about this recently, I think that there's a lot of times that George is a super crazy visionary and he sees things years in the future that we're like, holy crap, that makes sense. But George is also the kind of guy to kill off Darth Maul and Jango Fett in episodes 1 and 2 and then go, crap, how do I use these guys again?
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. How do I gotta bring Darth Maul back. He was a waste. You know, you could have had Darth Maul be Count Dooku the whole time and not need the Count Dooku character. Obviously, it's cool to have both characters, but he sees the value a little bit later sometimes in characters. And I think that Jabba is one of those guys that he started off locally. We were talking when we were at lunch the other day. That's what it was. Yeah. We were talking about how he seems so insignificant the way that Han talks to him in episode 4 in the special edition re-release. But now, years as the universe has developed, he's larger than life. Right. No pun intended. Right. He's this big cosmic personality that what he says goes across the span of the whole known universe. And if he has a problem with someone that's even in Imperial space, they have a problem. Yeah. You know what I mean? He doesn't care if it's just in the outer rim. Yeah. And so this is where Boba tells everybody, like, look, you want to die for this freaking idiot? I think that Bib Fortuna is just universally hated. I don't think anybody likes him.
There's just something about him where you just like, if you were to meet this guy face to face, you just want to punch him square in his eyes. I know. You know, just like.
And he's got these 2 gross micro wieners hanging down over his shirt.
Micro wieners.
Wow. But it's cool because all these guys are trying to point the gun at Boba Fett, and he says, "You know who I am. I'm Boba Fett. You know what that means. All of you want to live. Who doesn't? But I promise, fight me. Some of you may die. Maybe most of you die, and you be dying for him. Doesn't he fear? Does it?" Right. And they're like, "You know what? Go ahead and have your way." So this is the coolest part. This is the big reveal that's kind of got the internet buzzing. So they've got this invitation that has caused Jabba to put the bounty on Boba Fett and all this other stuff, which has not been rescinded. The bounty's still out there for Boba, so we got to figure out where that goes. But there's this hooded female character that has stolen Han Solo, and it says, "You, Jabba, most exalted of all the Hutts, are invited to be present alongside representatives of the great galactic powers to witness the return of Crimson Dawn," which was Darth Maul's syndicate from Solo. Which this is so cool because this opens up the door. We can get to that after we finish reviewing this. And so basically it says, you know, we've extended similar invitations. It says, let's see. It basically says, we're useful. We can get things for you that nobody else can, such as this particular prize, Captain Han Solo, which we offer to you as a gesture of goodwill. So I think one of the reasons that he's willing to put his money out towards getting Boba back and make an example of Boba is he believes that Crimson Dawn is going to give him Han Solo free of charge. So that bounty doesn't need to be paid. Sure. So now you can put all this money on...
saving money here.
And spend it somewhere else. Yeah, so that's cool.
I think that, you know, reading stuff like this and some of the other backstories of Jabba gives us a little bit more perspective on how smart he really is.
Yeah, he's a chess player.
But like if you see him in Star Wars, the re-release, and then you see him in Return of the Jedi, you just think he's like this big old fat slimy blob.
Yeah, he's this big perverted hermaphroditic slug.
Right, and that's all we see.
Yeah.
But reading more and more, I mean, you're really kind of seeing how smart and how theoretical his thinking is.
Yeah, he definitely has plans.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
He has plans for his plans if his plans don't work out.
Yeah.
But it's cool. So the very end of the comic, it says why is this man what's so important about Han Solo? And the hooded character says, for this to work, we needed something that would get the attention of the entire galaxy. For better or worse, I believe that's Han Solo. And this is a really cool frame of, you have Han's stupid smirk in the middle of this picture, and then overlaid with the Crimson Dawn symbol right here. Yeah. And it's got the very end of Luke and Leia with all those characters looking at what we can do next at the Rebel Alliance. You have the Empire, who has Darth Vader thinking about what's next. You have these bounty hunters. So these bounty hunters are in a separate comic that's being released. I gotcha. And then you have, of course, Jabba cares, and then you have Dr. Aphra and her girlfriend.
But let's talk about Jabba real quick and how green and gooey and nasty. Like, again, you see him from Return of the Jedi. He's slimy, he's snotty, and all this. But this right here just goes to show, like, that dude is nasty.
Yeah,
like, he's very, very gross.
I think there's a part of it's because Hutts are disgusting.
Sure.
But part of it, I think he lets himself be that way. One, it's dual-sided. One, I think he just has vices.
Sure.
Like, I think he has vices that he doesn't control. But I think also it's one of those things that gives the appearance of ignorance, and that plays you right into his hand. You know, he's a much more complex character.
Oh yeah.
And so there's this crazy moment where it says Han always wanted to save me, and now he'll get his chance. And the character pulls back her hood, and it's Kira from Solo. Emilia Clarke's character.
She's on my list. Sorry, just put that out there.
And so she said, Han Solo always wanted to save me, so now he'll get his chance. And as she's walking away, it says, finish preparations. The guests will be arriving soon. And then her attendee says, yes, Lady Kira. And that's the end.
Yeah.
And then for the Bounty Hunters tie-ins, there's a bunch of stuff that's still coming out. So all these, there's freaking... yeah, so it's cool because this War of the Bounty Hunters banner goes over these other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comics.
Wow.
That cover it. So now I have to get all of these, dadgummit. But here's a cool one.
Take my money.
Right. One thing that's really cool that we talked about a few weeks ago is the Dr. Aphra series will be part of the War of the Bounty Hunters, and that's where Dirge will come in. So we might get
unreal
a Dirge versus Boba Fett showdown, which would be freaking
that could be interesting.
Sick.
Yeah. But like going into it being the Crimson Dawn, like, I mean, just as I'm reading, I was like, okay, they're showing somebody new, but it's not new, and then it ends up being Crimson Dawn. I was like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it's a cool tie-in.
And then when it's Kira, I'm just like, like I mean, she's already got ties to Han Solo, so she knows who he is. She knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's going to be a lot more in that. I think that's cool.
She says he's always wanted to save me. Now he gets his chance.
Yeah.
So there's so much to explore there.
Oh yeah.
Because she's in some kind of a pickle for some reason. Where has she been for the last? Solo happens, I think 10 years before A New Hope, something like that, or maybe it's a couple of years. So for a span of somewhere between 5 and 10 years, they've been gone for God knows what reason, where they've been. When Crimson Dawn is at its peak at Solo, when Maul's still alive, Crimson Dawn and the Pike Syndicate and Black Sun and all that stuff kind of floats in whether they're all one group or they're like sister companies.
Sure.
It's this giant thing.
Yeah.
So where has it gone from there? Obviously Maul's power is gone. Yeah. So maybe no one really respects Kira. We don't know. So it's a really crazy story, and where it's going to go from here, we don't know. What we do know is that Boba Fett's the one that ends up delivering Han Solo to Jabba by Return of the Jedi.
Right.
So is Boba Fett going to kill Kira? Man, we don't know. It's going to be a lot of things, but it's this crazy thing that she's going to try to start a bidding war between everybody to make her have the best position possible.
Sure.
And everybody is kind of playing a little bit of politics because the Empire really can't piss off the whole crime syndicate.
No.
Because that's a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah.
The war on drugs started in the 80s, and it's still a pain in the butt in America today. Then you can't have this crime syndicate pissing off the Empire.
Right.
Because then you'll have Palpatine bring his fist down.
Yeah.
The Rebel Alliance has their hands full. And you got this one guy who's just trying to make a buck, he doesn't care who he pisses off because he's by himself. And that's the Boba Fett character. So there's so much that's going on.
And the way you said that, like it being, you got the crime syndicate, you got the rebels, and you got the Empire. I mean, those are three formidable forces.
Right.
And so, like, you have those three guys, and then you got this one schmuck that's out here just killing everybody.
Yeah.
And he don't care.
Yeah.
He's just out there, wrecking everybody, and he's just collecting money and moving on. But, like, this one guy, he's just like, man, y'all do what y'all got to do. I'm going to do what I got to do. And he's just pushing on. I think that's why I like him. Is he's just like, I don't give a crap. Y'all do you. I'm going to do me. And keep on going.
The moral code is I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
no, like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I think that there's a cleanness to that character where it's okay. Well, the rebels, they really can't expend too much energy over here. Can we really risk Han and Leia or Luke and Leia being gone? I don't know. We'll see. Like there's this. Oh, I don't know how much we can get involved. The Empire is trying to get rid of the rebellion. The crime syndicates are all trying to survive this war between these two people.
Yeah.
And like I said, then you have the third party, which is Boba Fett, who's like, no, you don't understand. I just got stolen from. I have a reputation to uphold.
Right.
So it's really interesting. We'll see, obviously Dengar, and I don't know who that other character is, kind of the cable-looking guy.
Yeah,
I can't remember. But he's in another graphic novel that I recently bought that I just need to read through. And it's a big thing.
Which I do have to say, I dislike you for showing me these Marvel comics because I ended up buying them. And so now I'm just like, now that I bought these two, I have to keep up with the rest of them. And I was like, Disney, I hate you so much.
Dude, I know. I think what I try to do is I try to find ones that I'm like, okay, I really like this.
Yeah.
The best ones are the limited run.
Sure.
So you have a Lando comic, it's 5 pieces. When all 5 are out, you buy the collection and then you're done.
Right.
The ones that run are the hard ones, like the Darth Vader line, and it's like, dadgummit, we're 12 issues in, then this one will end, and then next year they're going to do 12 more. Like, that's the ones that are tough.
Yeah.
But this War of the Bounty Hunters, the cool thing is, the way that I think that they'll do it, if I'm not mistaken, which will make it really easy for us, is you'll have the Dr. Aphra, or the Star Wars, or the Darth Vader, or those ones, and if they fall under that banner, I think within the Marvel app, you'll be able to buy the ones that apply to this series. So you don't have to buy 25 Dr. Aphra comics to know what's going on.
Yeah,
you can buy the 2 that apply to this. I think that's what I'll try to do.
I got you.
Because I care about those characters.
Sure.
But not to the tune of like, $12 a month per line, and there's like 6 lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can't.
Like and also it's information overload.
Oh my God.
There's that guy, Star Wars Explained.
Yeah.
And he does all of them.
Yeah.
And then once a month he does a canon update, and he's like, here's what happened this month in the Star Wars canon universe. And he does all those things.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get there someday, but we're not making any money yet.
Right.
So I don't have time.
Speaking of, if you want to donate by any means, reach out to us. We'll definitely take your love.
Yeah, we've got an OnlyFans. I'm just kidding.
No, we don't. Nobody wants to see that.
Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're excited for this new line of comics.
Yeah.
And of course, the High Republic comic is still coming as well, I think in the next week or so.
Again, just so much information.
So much stuff at once.
Yeah.
And it's cool, though. It's cool to watch the puzzle pieces on the timeline.
Yeah. I think that's what keeps me so attached to Star Wars is that we had the basis of the 9 movies,
Right.
But then when you start adding video games and all the stories that tie into that, the books and everything that were made, even the old books from the 80s and 90s or whatever, and then even the newer stuff that's coming out now, it's just like all these things that are happening in different places in this timeline, but yet now we're really starting to see the correlation between everything and how things are tied in. That's what drives me to do more of this because I love it.
Yeah,
I loved it in the MCU when Marvel did it. It was perfect.
Yeah,
and I love how how Star Wars just does so much with it. I don't know. It drives me.
It's cool because Star Wars does this thing where it's think about this, 1978. 43 years ago. And then they go, okay, what'd be really neat is there's this character, Boba Fett, and what do we know about him? I don't know. He has a cool armor, though.
Yeah.
And that's the whole character.
Yeah.
And we'll just build on that for 40 years. And there was rumors back in the day that George was considering what if Anakin Skywalker had a brother and he became Boba Fett. And Boba Fett and Darth Vader were brothers and nobody knew about it. And that's why, that's why he would say no disintegrations because he knows his brother.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. That's just really cool. That is kind of, it's such a rich history.
Yeah.
And now this character was a cool looking guy a million years ago, and now basically this comic is bringing all these different parts of Star Wars together to flesh out the character of Boba Fett, so that we know how bad to the bone he is, so that in December when Book of Boba Fett comes out, we're drawn into that, and we're not surprised by the stuff he's able to do in December. It's a fleshing out of the character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's an Ahsoka treatment.
Well, I mean, again, I think I pointed this out to you last week. My boys are wanting to watch Star Wars, so we started watching Star Wars.
Right.
And then in the middle of Clone Wars, the clones finally arrive, and they go to the Jedi's. I think it's like Mace and some of the Jedi's from the arena. They come to the front line, and they're getting off, and they talk to one of the commanders. He's like, "We have 5 special units. 5 special units that are ready and willing for you to do." And I was like, "Wait a second. We just started Bad Batch. I'm just reading this. I was like, are they the same thing?" That happened. When did Clone Wars come out?
Or Attack of the Clones is like
Attack of the Clones.
03 or something like that.
Yeah. So 03, 04,
maybe.
Yeah, something like that. But 2002. But now in 2021,
almost 20 years later.
Yes, a little whatever. But yeah, so now we're getting. Is that the same thing? I mean, I thought it was. I mean, that just kind of clicked to me.
It's one of those things where it was probably, in my mind, it was probably Republic Commandos when the Republic Commandos novels came out.
Okay.
And is it 4 Republic Commando groups, and then the 5th one is Clone Force 99, because we know they're one of a kind. I think it's one of those things that it's a cool dialogue piece that they know, especially, a lot of people hate on Kathleen Kennedy, but she's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
If you like Indiana Jones, you can't talk crap about Kathleen Kennedy.
Right.
And I think her, and then trusting Dave Filoni, who for a while has been executive producer, but now we know, or executive creator, but now it's been kind of put in the public light. Doug Chang, some of those storyboard people.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things where maybe it was just dialogue back in the day, but there's $1 billion opportunity in those 2 lines.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes me wonder the characters that are in the little, when you watch a Star Wars thing and it's like, no, and it's showing you the different characters. The first time it was like Kylo Ren, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, this and this, and Mandalorian. And then this time it's a new one. You get Grievous, you get Bucket from Resistance, you get all these different characters. And the last one, I can't for the life of me figure out if it's a Republic Commando or a Death Trooper.
Trying to figure that out.
I think it looks more like a Republic Commando to me from the visor shape.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, is that something they're going to bring back? Is that something they're going to talk about? Funko Pop released upcoming pops, and Funko does not release irrelevant things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Qui-Gon Jinn came out, but of course Master and Apprentice has been big. Qui-Gon's been fleshed out a little bit.
Yeah.
He's probably going to show up in the Kenobi series.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not going to release things that's not going to sell. So the Republic Commando helmet on the new Star Wars intro. Funko just announced a Republic Commando pop coming out in the fall. I don't know. I think there could be tie-ins here. We'll see. But I would love to see some of that content.
Yeah.
But just such a cool stuff coming out all the time.
Yeah.
And then again, at the end of the month, the next adult age novel for the High Republic, Rising Storm by Kevin Scott, and that has 3 alternate covers you can buy. You have the regular one, you have the Target one, and then you have a limited run by out of print booksellers, and it's a freaking sick.
Oh my god!
Thing. I know. So it's like $20 for either of those, and then $50 for the out of print one because it comes with the limited edition tote. And I have to remind myself I'm probably going to listen to it on audiobook, so I don't need the $50 book. But that $50 book's going to be worth how much in a couple of years? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just one of those cool things. But if I haven't got the alternate cover to most of the Thrawn books, I'm not going to spend $50 for this other one.
That's true.
And then you have Thrawn coming in the fall, another Thrawn book, and he's going to show up in Ahsoka. There's just so much to look forward to.
That's still speculation though, right? That he's going to show up.
You can quote me on that. But I think so, yeah. I think he's the Thanos of the later Star Wars universe.
Okay.
I think that he'll show up and he'll be, I don't know, he's an interesting character. He's a protagonist in his books, but he would be an antagonist to Ahsoka. The only thing that they have in common is she's trying to find Ezra, and Ezra's with him in some uncharted space. But again, the character, unless they completely redo his style and who he is for the live action, he doesn't care about the Empire.
Right.
He cares that the Chiss survive.
Right.
That's his number one identifier.
Yeah.
So I can see him.
So to him, the Empire was always just a means to an end. You know,
the Empire was and we think it's maybe the Grisks from the Thrawn novels. Anyways, there's this incoming storm that's coming to oppress the Chiss.
Right.
And he feels that they are vulnerable because one of the things that the Chiss believe is honorable is you can't preemptively shoot something if someone's going to attack. That's not honorable. You have to wait for something to happen and then you can respond.
Yeah.
But you can't do preemptive. And he's saying the best defense is a good offense. That's Thrawn's mindset, and they don't agree with that. And that's always been kind of a thing against them. In the Legends continuity, that's what got him banned. But in the new continuity, it's just a big point of stress between him and the other Chiss. So he's saying, okay, let me go and find out what's going on with the Empire. And the Empire is more organized, they have more firepower, and they care about results. So I can rise in their ranks, and when the time comes, I can go to the Emperor, I have a personal relationship with the Emperor, and I can say, you know, for all that I've done, please help my people. And they're in the last book of the Thrawn trilogy that takes place later in the timeline, right before Rebels, it reveals that the Emperor absolutely planned on helping Thrawn because he also wanted to conquer the Chiss. And that would be his way in.
Interesting.
So, in my mind, if Palpatine's gone,
much information.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. So, but I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. If you like this video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you know when we're shooting stuff. Thank you for sharing with us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a 5-star rating and a written review, and we'll read it on air. And share with your friends and family. And thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you guys next week.
And before we sign off, I just wanted to say things look different. We're moving parts. I know Samuel's left us for a while. He'll be back. We'll just bear with us. We're getting everything tied in together. But
we're a work in progress.
We're a work in progress, and we're getting excited about bigger and better things. So
definitely.
We definitely take donations. So just give us a buzz.
Let us know.
We'll just take care.
And we'll see you guys next time. And I guess for Samuel, I'll say, I don't have the sound effect thing because this computer's gone.
Yeah.
But I'll try to do this my best. I can't do it like Samuel does it, but the only family you have here is me.
He'd be very disappointed.
Yeah, no worries.
No.
See you guys next time.
All right, take care, guys.